We are sitting down with forestry experts to ask them your tough questions. This is Ask a Forester.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Sarah.
Welcome to Ask a Forester.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about yourself.
Sure. I'm Jerry. I'm a forester for Roseburg Forest Products. Oregon native, graduate of Oregon State University. I've been a forester for about 6 years now and work primarily on our timberlands in the Roseburg and Sutherland area.
Okay, well, one claim that I've heard before is we know trees capture carbon, but I think some people often think that when they're cut down, that carbon is lost. Is that true?
That's not true. I mean, a small amount of carbon is going to be lost when we sustainably harvest trees and the limbs and the roots and the needles, but the vast majority of the carbon that's stored in a tree as it grows is going to continue to be stored in the wood products that we manufacture from it.
Okay, so it doesn't disappear
Correct.
after the tree is cut down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then along those same lines, we're standing in front of a pretty young forest. How old are these trees? 5, 6?
Probably say 5 or 6 year old, yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of trees are these?
These are Douglas fir.
Okay, even that one?
That one behind it would be a cedar. And then we have a grand fir up the road too. So a real diverse set of trees on the landscape here.
Okay. So in terms of carbon sequestration, which is a big word, what's better for carbon sequestration, young trees or old trees?
That's a great question too. And I like to use the term capture instead of sequestration, a little bit easier to digest.
Okay.
And I'd like to differentiate a little bit between capture and storage because I think those are two terms that a lot of individuals might get confused. So capturing, we're thinking of the actual physical process of photosynthesis, if we think back to science class, where trees are absorbing atmospheric carbon, and then that carbon is stored in the cells of the tree.
Okay.
So when we think about young trees growing, I really like to boil it down to thinking about young kids. You know, I have young kids at home, and a lot of us do, and when they're young, they just eat so much food, right? Trees are the same way. When they're actively growing and they're small and they're vigorous and they're trying to put on a lot of energy to grow, they're going to capture and sequester and store more carbon than an older tree.
Okay.
And as those trees get older, they're going to slow down and capture a little bit less.
Okay, and so if you've got like a really old, mature stand of trees, say it's, 80 years old, they're still growing to some degree, and there's a lot of carbon stored there in those big trees, but they're not maybe sucking it out of the atmosphere as fast as maybe a 5-year-old tree would.
Correct. And when you lump the two questions together, you think about it, it's a really cool cycle where we have young, vigorously fast-growing trees capturing atmospheric carbon, storing it in their cells. When they're mature, we sustainably harvest, turn that into a wood product that's going to continue to store that carbon indefinitely, essentially, until it either decays or is burned. And then we're replacing that stand with young, fast-growing trees again that are going to sequester and capture and store even more carbon.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'd love to hear from you. If you've got a question you'd like us to answer, send an email to info@OregonForestsForever.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.